Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Wedding Pros Unplugged. My name is Misty Coolidge. I'm the owner of Coolidge Family Farm, Coolidge Chapel, and main mixologist.
And my name is Kim Chapman Dion from Kim Chapman Photography.
And today we have Maria from Steward and Porter Travel. She is a honeymoon travel expert. And I will let her introduce herself and share with you all of the amazing things that she does for brides, grooms, brides, families, all of the things. Maria, yay!
Aloha,
Hi,
I feel like I should
Maria.
say.
Aloha.
I
I love it.
am Maria Northcott, and I am with my husband, co-owner of Steward and Porter Travel. We're a dream vacations franchise here in Bath, Maine, but we work with clients from all over the United States. We've got clients in California and Florida because of referrals.
Mhm.
And our niche is relaxed luxe honeymoons and celebration vacations. So we're primarily working with honeymoon clients, but we book all kinds of travel, mostly international vacation packages all over the world. And our niche, really like our super kind of what we focus on, are really custom vacations to Europe. So
Mhm.
super complex multi-destination custom vacations to Europe, which is a super popular honeymoon type vacation. So it kind of used to be that you said honeymoon and everybody thinks all-inclusive vacation to the Caribbean, which by the way is still a very popular honeymoon destination.
Mhm.
But more and more now people are wanting like a culturally immersive honeymoon
Uh,
experience, which is Europe. So all different countries in
Definitely.
Europe. So that's really something we love to do. It's my passion. I love those really complex trips
Oh,
to Europe.
that's really interesting. Europe is the thing now. Wow.
It's big. It's
Yeah.
big.
So how early should a couple planning their honeymoon start planning? Should
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question because it's almost as early as booking your venue. So, booking your venue is like the first thing you do, maybe 2 years in advance or 18 months in advance. I mean, really booking your honeymoon should be at least 12 months in advance. And a lot of venues, or I should say, I'm so used to the wedding lingo, so I say venues, but a lot of hotels and resorts can't book 12 months, more than 12 months in advance. They just don't release their inventory until 12 months out. So
Mhm.
you're kind of looking at maybe there's that limitation anyway. So 12 months, at least a year out, is a good. Sandals resorts, they can book further than 12 months out. Cruises can book further than 12 months out. So, sort of as soon as you know what kind of vacation you want, you can start working with your travel professional to put the trip together. I can even start working on itineraries for those custom vacations in Europe further than 12 months out because we can start putting the itinerary together. We sometimes can't start booking the hotels until it gets a little closer in. But the reason you want to book further out is because you're going to have more availability. I mean, it's just like venues, right? You're going to have
Yes.
more availability of your first choice. Prices are actually going to be better. So, as inventory gets limited, prices go up. And this is true for cruise lines, this is true for resorts. So, the further out, you're going to get better pricing and better availability.
That's a good
Um,
point.
yeah. So, that being said, we book honeymoons kind of all the time. And I like to say we can't book anything less than 60 days out. It's just too rushed. We'd have to put clients who are working on aside to take on your business, and that's not really fair to the clients we're working on. So we ask that you give us really like 6 months is the sweet spot. But we can, we sometimes do get requests for honeymoons, 3 months out, and we have booked those. But you want to do yourself a favor and not be stressed about your wedding and your honeymoon at the same time. So give yourself the gift of time by booking as far in advance as you can.
Hmm.
Now, as far as booking you, Maria, I've never used a travel agent. I'm so bad, and I travel all the time, and
Yes.
I feel like I just can't afford you. So I feel like that's a big thing or a myth, or is this a myth buster? Like, are you going to totally bust that right through? Because I feel like I can't afford a travel agent. So
Yes.
share with couples. Yes, I mean, I hope is that the answer? Yes, they can afford you.
Yes. Actually, I'm so glad you brought this up, Misty, because it is a total myth. In some cases, I will say. So some travel agents do charge a fee, and they should. It is so much work. Now that I know what a travel agent does, first of all, now that I know what a travel agent does, I can't believe I never used one. Um, but two, it's a lot of work, and we don't get paid until after the client's travel. So if you book a
Oh,
land
wow.
vacation in 2027, we're not going to get paid till 6 to 8 weeks after you travel.
Wow.
So
I didn't
travel
know that.
agents, yeah. So oftentimes, like to help us pay our bills, they charge a fee in advance. But there are many travel agents who don't charge fees at all because we get paid by the suppliers that we book with. Who pays our commission. The clients don't pay our commission. So we are one of those kind of travel agents who don't charge planning fees.
Hmm.
So you're actually not paying any more for working with a travel agent than if you booked it yourself.
Oh my
In
God. I'm going to
fact,
call you every
Misty,
time.
in
I
fact,
didn't know that either. I travel
all
all the time.
these years that you've been booking your own travel, you've been paying for the services of a travel agent, but not getting them because hotels and resorts build into their pricing having to pay commission to travel agents.
Wow.
So you've been paying for our services and not getting them.
You just blew
Now,
my mind.
I
You
know,
blew
I
my
I
know, I
mind.
know.
I will say this, there's also in some cases opportunities for us to get exclusive offers from, and this is especially for cruises. We'll sometimes get exclusive offers because I'm part of a Dream Vacations franchise that we have so much leverage that the cruise lines will offer us exclusive things like onboard credit or exclusive pricing that you can only get by booking with a travel agent. So in some cases, you can actually get a better price by booking with a travel agent than you can by booking it yourself. So in some cases, you're doing yourself a disservice by not using a travel agent because there's savings to be found. But I do want to say this, the kind of travel that I'm booking, I'm not booking lowest fare, best deal travel. I'm booking a more luxe experience, which is more hands-on. I'm doing everything for you. This is a custom experience. There's going to be somebody with a sign waiting for you at the airport with your name on it. They're going to take your bags and sweep you away to your hotel where they're waiting for you. They're going to greet you. Everything's all prepared. There's nothing you have to worry about. There's an in-destination support number that you can call if anything goes wrong. There's this kind of everything. There's vouchers waiting for you at your hotel. Everything is organized for you.
It sounds
And
like
in that
heaven.
case, it is heaven. And in that case, there is a premium for that kind of experience. So that might be more expensive, but you're actually getting more value for it. So it depends on what kind of travel you're booking,
Okay.
but you're getting something for it. So you're paying this, you're getting a better price, you're paying the same exact price that you would be booking, or you're paying a little bit more, but you're getting a better experience by
And by
using
a
a
little
travel
bit
agent.
more, what's that little bit more mean for premium?
Well, we don't actually know because I'm booking through a supplier, and that supplier has negotiated rates with the hotels and the tour operators that they're booking with, and they don't tell us what those rates are. So it's a
Um,
bundled package, and we can't break it down. So
okay.
we present the clients with a bundled rate, and we can tell you, if we book the airfare separately, sometimes the airfare is bundled in because they get a deal on the airfare too, and it's all part of the package. But if you went and purchased each one of those items separately, you might find that it's more expensive to go through a supplier. But guess what? It's a whole lot more of a hassle to book it separately because first of all,
Hmm.
you're going to have to research each one of those suppliers. And then you're going to have to buy it individually. So now you have 6 or 7 different suppliers or travel partners that you have to call and get a different voucher for and work with separately. Where if you go through me, I'm your one person and I manage all of that. So
Yay.
there's trade-offs, but it's not, I will say, working with a travel agent, you have me. I'm your advocate. If anything goes wrong, and it does all the time, you reach out to me and I help you solve the problem. So I have an example of this. I had clients who were in destination. I think it was they were on safari and their plane, their one of their legs of their plane, their flight got canceled and they were on an excursion and they got this notification. They reached out to me while they were on their trip. I dealt with the flight. I rescheduled it for them and they got to just enjoy their vacation and
Hmm.
I managed the rebooking of their flight.
So
So if
it's
you had booked that yourself, sorry, Kim,
no, 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 no.
you would have had to take time away from your precious vacation hours to deal with this flight issue. So,
Right.
which would you rather experience?
It's almost
Yeah.
like hiring a wedding planner,
Yeah, I was
you
just gonna
know?
say that, Kim. You read
Yeah,
my mind. Yes.
but you don't have to pay,
Kind of,
you
yes,
know?
exactly, because I'm getting paid by the travel partners that I book with. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody told me, first of all, I bow down to wedding planners. I think you all are amazing human beings who do God's work. And
Yeah.
I always said I could never be a wedding planner. It is just, you have to
But you
be
are one.
everything to everyone. And then somebody once was like, do you realize you're a wedding planner, but for trips?
Yes.
Mm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what happened? But yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much like that.
So
There's so many people.
we actually did hire wedding planner, a travel agent when we went to Egypt and when we went to China because hello, we're not going to get off the plane in Egypt and look at a map. Okay, where do we go? We were very scared actually to
Mm,
be there. So we call it a babysitter. We hired a babysitter, and it was great. We never could have done it without the travel agent. We
yeah.
it was a they took
You
care of our drivers and everything.
That's amazing. I'm gonna, as soon as we hang up, Maria, I might have to call you later tonight.
Well, and there, Kim, to your point, there are definitely destinations where I would say for sure have a travel professional put your trip together. Like I just was in Morocco in March, and that's a destination that I wouldn't go to unless I had a travel professional put the trip together.
Hmm.
You cannot rent a car there. You should not. If you don't
Exactly.
live there, do not rent a car in Morocco. And you wouldn't know that. So there are certain destinations, Egypt, there are certain places you shouldn't go to without having the advice of a professional.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
I don't know how
Awesome.
we ever would have done that. I mean,
So,
even the little the not parks, but the different um
Excursions.
excursions that we went on, we absolutely had to have that person there speaking Arabic. What are we gonna,
mhm,
absolutely.
yep.
So,
I love
but
that. So I'm planning a honeymoon. I just got married or I'm getting married and I have no idea where to start this process, how to contract with you, how to find you, what are you going to do for me? To explain like some of that stuff and maybe like some tips.
Yeah. Well, the very first thing you want to do is type into Google travel agent near me or best travel agent near me. Um, and honestly, that really is a great place to start. Look for a travel agent that's well reviewed. Obviously, you're going to look for, somebody that has good reviews. Look for trends in their reviews that say, they were responsive, they, were available during travel, they followed up with us,
or they could contact you.
or they could
Yes.
contact me. Yeah, and anywhere in the United States, I can work with anybody in the United States. Um, but the things you want to do to kind of decide how you want to plan your honeymoon is you want to decide on the length of the honeymoon because that's going to determine your budget and where you go.
Mm,
So the longer you go, obviously the more expensive the trip is going to be. So, and then there's certain destinations where you don't want to, if you're going a far away, you want to go for a long time. Like for example, if you're going on a safari, we recommend no less than 10 days, right? Like 7 maybe, but you really should go for 10. Where if you're going to the Caribbean, 7 is fine,
hmm.
right? So the length of the trip is a really good place to determine, just start with to determine how long you want to go. And then picking your dates and your date range, you want to think about things like, are we going, what time of year are we going? So if you're getting married in the summer and you're going to the Caribbean, well, that's hurricane season. But there are certain places you can go in the Caribbean in hurricane season, like the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao are outside the hurricane belt. So you can still go to the
Mm.
Caribbean, but just make sure you know where. Or if you're going in, say, Mexico in April, that's going to be the beginning of seaweed season. The Sargasso seaweed starts happening in Mexico and the Caribbean. But you want to
Wow.
have these things in mind. And of course, you might not know this unless you're working with a travel professional.
Yes.
So determining when and if you're going on safari, you can see animals year round. Some people think, oh, I only want to go on safari when the animals are active. Well, the animals are active year round. It just depends on which country you go to. So you want to work with a travel professional to know which country to go to in which season.
That's my next vacation.
Oh,
Safari. Hook me
you
up, Maria.
got to go. I was in Kenya in 2021 and it was
Really?
incredible. Almost, I still don't have the words to describe that experience.
Oh, wow.
Like
Someday, bucket list.
bucket list. So
Hmm.
yes, so you're going to decide the number of days, which will help you determine your budget, and then you're going to pick your dates. And then also, here's one thing that not everybody thinks about. So if you're going to have a honeymoon fund where you're going to use money that's gifts from the wedding,
Hmm.
you want to plan your honeymoon 6 months about after your wedding because you want to figure out how much money you get after your wedding, at your wedding to put towards the honeymoon.
You
So
mean
if you,
couples have a honeymoon fund as a registry kind of thing?
yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've had it where people say, oh, we've registered, we have a register item on our registry for our honeymoon fund where people are getting money for their honeymoon. But then they want to go on their honeymoon right after their wedding, but they don't know how much is going to be in that fund
Right.
until after the wedding. So my advice is if you're going to have that as a registry item, plan the honeymoon for about 6 months after so we can start planning the wedding right after you get married.
Oh,
Then you know
wow.
how
Yeah.
much money you have to put towards the honeymoon. Make sense?
It does make sense.
Little
And
pro
a
Or
tip.
lot of my
or
couples
plan it
don't go right on.
or plan it so that you go right after, but have that honeymoon fund as like things you can use for excursions or, different things that you could probably do or
Just
to help you pay because you would have everything paid before your honeymoon, so you wouldn't be able to use it towards the trip itself.
That's right.
Got you.
Yeah, by then you'd have everything paid.
Mhm.
Now, if you can do that, if you can afford that, that's fine. Then just use that money to offset it, but not everybody can. So it kind of just
To
depends.
pay back your credit cards.
Right. But that's a little pro tip not everybody thinks about.
Now, do
And
you
then
think,
also,
oh, I'm
oh,
sorry. I just had a
another,
quick question.
okay,
Is
go ahead.
it, you talked about summer. Is it generally more busy in the summer in Europe since Europe is the
Yeah,
most popular destination?
that's the busy season
Yeah.
in the summer. But I will say the busy season in Europe is stretching. It used to be like April and October were great times to go to Europe, and
Mhm.
even now those are busy seasons. So it's really stretching.
Mhm.
But yes, summer in Europe is hot and busy, but still fabulous.
Yeah.
Still fabulous.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
want to
you,
travel when it's cold here. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
and that's what some people do. They get married in the summer and then they have their honeymoon in the winter, so they get away from the Northeast in the winter.
For
All
sure.
right, so going through how to plan your honeymoon, you've decided, I have my notes as you're seeing. You've
Thank
decided on
you.
the number of days you want to go. You've determined your budget based on the number of days. You've picked your date range. Now you want to kind of choose your vibe and activity level. So is this like a hanging out on a hammock with your foot dangling in the waters of the South Pacific where you're reading a book and that's it? Or do you want to be like hiking the Pitons in St. Lucia and sitting under a waterfall and making your own chocolate, St. Lucia? Or
Hmm.
do you want to be like shopping in Palma de Mallorca and walking the cobblestone streets and eating, yeah, ham and cheese? Yeah.
All the
So
things. I want
you
all of those things.
so you kind
True.
of think
I
about like,
do.
do you want to be super active? Do you want to be kind of a mix of active and relaxed?
Right.
What kind of a trip you want and the vibe you want and the activity level you want. Then start researching and reading. Using ChatGPT is fine to help you kind of learn and research.
Mm.
You can get an itinerary idea from ChatGPT. That's fine. That's what it's for. But then provide your wedding or your travel professional with that because it's use it as guidance, but don't trust it to plan your trip for you. Because, for example, like I said about renting a car in Morocco, you might say, we want to go to Morocco, rent a car, drive from Marrakesh to Essaouira, and ChatGPT will give you that information. But you may not know that you could die you rent a car
Okay.
in Morocco.
Don't use Chat
But
GPT.
ChatGPT is not going to tell you that. So it's
Right.
only as good as the input you put in,
Yeah.
where we know we've been to these destinations. We have contacts and experts around the world who are in destination who know, we're going to give you the advice and the guidance that you need. But use those resources to research. And then you reach out to your travel professional and say, here's all the information we've come up with. Help us put this fabulous trip together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. I'm
Well,
so using you. I might be your new worst enemy.
yeah.
Or best client.
What is your favorite location you've ever been to?
Oh, good question, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, I know you
Okay,
just got back from Alaska. I've always wanted to go
that
there.
was unbelievable. And I thought, like, my husband's from British Columbia. We're in Maine, like, I don't know, the ocean, the mountains. I did not expect to love it as much as I did, but I really loved it. But that is not my favorite destination.
Okay.
Um, I've been so many places. This is a very difficult question, but it's one I get asked all the time. So I'm going to say I absolutely loved the Greek islands.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, that's not what I
Loved
thought you'd
them.
say.
Oh,
Oh,
the,
really?
the people were so kind. The food was incredible and fresh. And the
Wow.
shops, the like things you could buy in the shops were like pure linen, real artisan, made in Greece, like things that weren't they were like local materials. And yeah, I was just blown away. Greece was incredible.
Oh,
It was
can't wait.
beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful. And even Athens, I mean, all the ancient architecture and the history and the culture and the people. I mean, you learn a couple words in Greek, and they just light up, and it was beautiful. Loved
Oh,
it.
wow.
But I was in Ireland in February,
Mm.
and I could live there. I
Really?
loved Ireland. Have either of you been to Ireland?
I
No, it's on my
haven't.
bucket list.
Yeah.
I could live there. Again,
Yes.
like people were so kind and friendly. The food was delicious. It was
Oh,
just what I wanted it to be, like the music and the
Oh, the
culture, and
culture.
the
it felt like a
Guinness.
warm hug. The
Yeah,
Guinness.
my
Yeah, the
brother's
pub.
there right now, and he's sending me all
Yeah.
these really cool pictures.
And I was there in February, which is like maybe not the best time to go, you would think, but it was beautiful and I learned so much. But we were in Mallorca in October,
Oh, my
and
daughter was just there too.
yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that she just got back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to pick. I love Costa Rica. I
It
don't
just kind of
know.
depends on what vibe you want, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you were to your point.
Yeah.
For traveling, if I'm gonna say I've got a budget of, if I've got a rough budget of $5,000, like where is that getting me? What are you talking about for the quick honeymoon trips? The people are on a budget to people that want to go away for 2 weeks in Europe. What are you looking at spending on those different ranges, I guess?
Such a good question. So pre-COVID, $5,000 was kind of your like
Average.
honeymoon budget. Like that was sort of like what people were paying for a honeymoon. Now it's double for a
Holy
typical
cow.
honeymoon. Yeah. So
Okay.
$5,000, like that's going to be a budget friendly, maybe a week in like Mexico or Dominican Republic, maybe Jamaica. Those are
Jamaica,
the
yeah.
three like most budget friendly places in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
That um that really won't get you to Europe. I mean,
No, I didn't
flights to
think so.
Europe,
I didn't think so.
yeah, flights to Europe, depending on where you're going, can be like
2000.
even, yeah, 1,500 per person, 1,100 per person. I mean, you can get, I think Ireland, maybe 800 per person, really depends. So that's going to be, but I will say, I was just in Mexico in March, April rather, and there are so many incredible resorts on the Caribbean, the Mexican Caribbean, the Riviera Caribbean, Riviera Maya. And we went to 10 different resorts. We did a kind of a fam trip, where we visited all these resorts. And we were specifically targeting Lux resorts on the Caribbean, Mexican Caribbean, beautiful places. So don't count out Mexico. It is gorgeous,
I've been many,
really
many
beautiful.
times. It's like the
Uh,
cheapest place to go, so that's where we
yeah.
always go.
And nonstop flight from Boston. It's like a 4 hour flight from Boston. Super easy to get there. Flying into Cancun. We can have a, transfer, pick you up, take you right to your hotel. beautiful. So that's for Europe, we're talking about like 650 to 800 per person per day for accommodations, in destination transportation. So that would be like airport transfers, ferries, trains, things like that, and your tours. So your excursions or tours. So that doesn't include your international flights and your travel insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So again, 650 to 800 per person per day for accommodations, transportation, and tours. And that's
That's
sort of
really
that
not that
relaxed
bad.
luxe. Yeah, that's what I call that relaxed luxe. It's four-star accommodations and there's in city centers, with that kind of level of service I said, where you have an in-destination support. I mean, it is kind of leaning a little more heavily, like especially in Italy, it's going to be on the higher side. Italy is
Yeah.
so hot. Portugal is getting a little bit more expensive now because that's a really hot destination. Greece is always, I mean, Italy, Greece, there's always really hot
You know,
destinations.
my daughter studied abroad in Spain, and she's been to 14 countries. And so when you're there,
It's cheap.
she was so far down. Yeah, it's very cheap to fly. She was so far down she couldn't take trains everywhere, so she had to
Mm,
fly. And they're younger, so they flew at midnight, and that didn't bother them. But she doesn't have any money, and she traveled Europe really easily, but they stayed in the hostels and things like that. Probably honeymoon couples aren't going to want to stay in the youth hostels.
yeah. Here's the thing. I said this to an inquiry that I got where I said, you can probably do Europe for 5,000 for a week. That's just not the kind of travel that I'm booking.
Right.
So that would be more like your budget. You're going to book it yourself. You're going to get like those late flights, maybe the trains that go at off times that have multiple stops, or your flights that have multiple stops. The one thing I will always recommend is clients don't book basic economy flights. They're really restrictive. You won't likely get an error credit if you have to cancel. You can't upgrade your seats. You sometimes
Right.
can't even bring a checked bag. There's so much you might not even be able to sit with your traveling partner. So even if you're going budget, I still recommend you don't book basic economy flights. But yes, there's travel out there is available for everybody. It's just the kind of traveling I'm booking for honeymoon couples. These are like celebration vacations where you're kind of
Yeah.
splurging and you want to be a little pampered and have that kind of
And
I've
I
never
think
had
that's
a
what I want.
sign waiting for me at the airport before, and I want that
Misty.
so bad. Coolidge on a sign when I
Oh,
get off the airport. I'm like, yes.
We had that in Egypt.
Oh
It's
my
cool.
God, that sounds like so amazing.
it is. It
Yeah.
really is.
I love that so much. So this is such great information. Is there anything else that you have on your list that you would love to share with us?
The only thing I would say is I often get inquiries where people will say they want to go to the Maldives, which is a
Oof,
really
I was just
popular
going to ask you.
honeymoon destination. But here's the thing. The Maldives, it takes like 24 hours plus to get there. It's a really long trip from the East Coast. So imagine I'm not even talking about our friends from the West Coast. So from the East Coast, it takes 24 hours to get there. So I always say, if you're going that far, I recommend business class seats where you can lie flat, which means it's going to be an expensive flight. So that at a minimum, that's going to be like a $50,000 honeymoon.
Hmm.
So,
Holy cow.
There's
so
no way I would fly there in economy. There's no
you're
way.
going to be miserable, just miserable. Once you get there, the hotels, the accommodations are not actually that expensive, but the
Mhm.
flights to get there, you really don't want to do a 24-hour flight in economy. So it's a little bit more expensive where people will say, like, where do they want to go? And they have a $6,000 budget. They'll say, oh, Maldives, Tahiti, Mexico, and
Greece.
Hawaii. And it's like, okay, well, those two are out. Because again, from the East Coast to go to the South Pacific, that's also an expensive flight because we have to fly to LAX or Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, Phoenix or San Francisco first. So
Yeah.
I'll often recommend like overnight in San Francisco and then fly from there, or overnight in LA and fly from there. So that's a long flight for us. So that adds a little extra time and money to the trip. So those are vacations that are a little bit more expensive. So just kind of educating your listeners that those
It
trips are available, but a little more expensive.
Yeah. When my husband and I went to China. He insisted on economy, and I'm like, no, I really want business
You
class. I need to lay
saved.
down. But we went economy. My seat, I sat in the middle. There was a Chinese guy on my right and Dave on my left, and they took up the armrests. You know how guys are. So I'm sitting there like this, and my seat didn't recline.
Oh
My
no.
seat didn't work, and I was stuck. We got there, had a great time. On the way back, I said, Dave, I don't care how much it costs. We're flying business class. I need to lay down.
Yeah.
And they let us upgrade. It really wasn't that much more because we had already bought our basic ticket,
Hmm.
and it was heaven.
Yeah.
I took a nap and I woke up and I was in Boston.
There's nothing like those lie flat seats, I
Oh,
have to say.
What
I
do those
just,
cost, Maria?
oh, this, I was just going to
they're
say, so
insane.
I
But
just, right before getting on the call with you two, I just priced out business class flights from Seattle to Nairobi. So this is for a safari trip. And it was about 4,300 or 5,500, depending on which itinerary I chose, per person
Holy.
for business class seats, for lie flat business class seats on
but you know,
Qatar Airlines.
that could just be your vacation. Fly first class, get there, go to the bar, have a glass of wine, and come home.
And
I
then
would
the,
do
the
that.
safaris, we recommend like 10,000 to 15,000 per person, depending on the length of safari. And if you want to add on like hot air balloon, or if you want to go to the beach after, like Mozambique or Zanzibar, or, do
Mm.
something like that after. So
Oh my
those are,
God. A safari costs $10,000?
so Misty, you can, you
Oh my
can do a
God.
safari.
No, we
Again, you can do
You're
a safari
crushing
for
me over
less. It just
here.
depends. It just depends. You don't have to fly business class. You can also do, yep, Kim's going to fly business class. Um, yeah, that is that kind of safari, where you're getting a guide. Your driver is going to be your guide. You're going to do two game drives a day. You're going to do a morning game drive. You'll come back to the lodge, to the camp in the afternoon, have lunch. You'll do an evening game drive. You're going to be staying in more luxe accommodations, those kind of glamping,
Ugh.
beautiful camps in the Masai Mara or in Kruger
but
National
if
Park.
I wanted to do a safari and I wanted to do it cheap, just get me economy. I want just one safari, and can you? I know that you probably that's not ideal, but you can book something like that for somebody if they just
Yeah,
want to get there, stay in a mediocre hotel and do one or two first
yeah.
safaris.
I mean, I
Not
wouldn't
into
recommend
First
it
mediocre,
if
class
you're.
Kim.
though.
Come on.
I would say if you're going all that way, you want to have at least 3 or 4 nights in a camp. So, like if you fly into, most people go to South Africa for their first time. That's like a beginner's safari destination. You fly into
Oh,
Cape Town, spend maybe 2 nights in Cape Town. A lot of people will go to the wine country for a day trip or spend 2 nights in the wine country and then go up to Kruger National Park and do like a 3 or 4 night safari in Kruger. So you could skip the winelands, do, a couple nights in Cape Town and then go up to Kruger and then fly out of Johannesburg, something like that. That would be like a real minimum kind of
I don't want to go
like,
to South Africa. I want to go to the middle. I wanted to go to Madagascar or something.
yeah, you could go to, well, that's the island, but you could go to Tanzania. I went to Kenya. Kenya was
Yeah,
incredible because there's so many different ecological zones. I don't know what you'd call them, but like topographical regions in
yeah.
Kenya. Like we were in the mountains, we were in the desert, we were in the Masai Mara, that which is right next to the Serengeti. I mean, it's like the jungle, it's just incredible. So we can put together any kind of, we can even do, not safaris, but we can do Egypt, like Kim did. I mean, we can do other places in Africa, Botswana.
Now I have travelitis. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
don't forget river cruising, which isn't a huge honeymoon thing, but I wish more people did it. River cruising is like one of my favorite things. Nick and I are about to do a river cruise down the Saône and the Rhône in southern France next month. It's an incredible experience. You get this deep cultural immersive experience where you're in a different port every day and
Hmm.
there's the bike trips or wine tasting or cheese tasting or olive oil tasting or
Okay.
wherever you.
Can I come with you?
I
Can I
I know
come? I'll be a third wheel.
I know
I tried to get a
you had us
I
at
tried to
wine
get a group
tasting.
together. Yeah, those are really, and there's even in Egypt, you can go down the Nile on a river cruise
Oh,
experience. So
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
I would imagine people overlook vacations in the United States. I mean, I've never been to New Orleans or any of that stuff. I would
Yeah, probably. I actually don't book domestic travel. I really focus on
uh,
international travel. So there are some destinations in the US I book, like the Florida Keys,
mhm.
a little bit in Las Vegas, and then wine country
California.
in California. And then I do some dude ranches. Like there's some really
Ooh.
cool luxury dude ranches
What's a
in
dude
Wyoming.
ranch?
Oh my God, they're amazing.
A
They're
dude
these,
ranch?
yes, these cool where you
I've
can get
heard of it, but
cabins like in Wyoming, or and Wyoming, of course, is huge now because of Yellowstone.
hmm
Um, and they have these, standalone cabins. These I did have a couple go for their honeymoon, and they had their own like ATV that brought them to their cabin, and their cabin had a jacuzzi, and then they did all sorts of excursions that were included at the ranch. So there was archery and horseback riding and fly fishing and
So
um,
wait,
art.
does it come with dudes?
Well, it's BYO, dude.
Why is it called a dude ranch?
I think that's what they were called.
Oh,
But the
just
cool thing
It's
ranch.
about those is there's this strange law in the
oh, like a
US
dude.
where where you can't have
I don't know
all-inclusive
why they call it.
resorts. We're
Yeah.
moving on, Kim. But this is important also because a lot of people um, ask us for an all-inclusive resort in the US. Like they want an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean, but there aren't any in the US, not like you imagine. And it's
Oh,
because there's
really?
some crazy law that the US has about serving alcohol.
Hmm.
So there's the rule is there can be all inclusives, but they have to be detached little dwellings, like a cabin. So if there's a hotel that has detached dwellings, they can offer an all-inclusive package. So there's a resort in Florida called the Bungalows that has little bungalows and they have an all-inclusive plan.
Mm-hmm.
Still not like what we expect like it is in the Caribbean. It's not exactly the same, but these ranches have little cabins so they can offer an all-inclusive plan. So it includes some alcohol and your meals. So
Wow.
if you're looking for an all-inclusive experience, there are some. You just have to work with your travel professionals because they know, where they are.
And
Yeah.
I feel like couples, the best advice for couples would be like, don't make a plan. Just call Maria because she will give you all of these really cool tips of things that you never even thought about in your wildest dreams that you're like, oh my God, I could do like a river cruise experience. Like you just opened my eyes because I love that.
I love that
I
too.
love the different ports. I love food. I love wine. I'm a cheese whore. Like I love food when I travel. So all I want to do is eat.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like people just need to call you and you'll give them so many recommendations and help you get there and you're just gonna eliminate all of that stress, kind of like a wedding planner.
Yeah,
Like you having a
exactly.
wedding planner from the beginning of your wedding process, like with my venue, and I'm built in when couples call me for the venue, I'm the first person they talk to,
Mhm.
and I help guide them in all of those different things to eliminate their stress. I want the process to be fun, stress-free, easygoing. I just want to take care of everything from them, have Zoom calls and if you're having a stressful day, you're overwhelmed about something. I feel like this is exactly what you do.
Yeah.
So having you there from the beginning to like even gives advice on where to go. Like don't even have a plan. Just call you and say, what's hot right now? What's affordable? This is how much money I have. Where can I go? And you are just full of knowledge. I'm just blown away right now.
Well, this is why we named our company Steward and Porter, because it's kind of a throwback to the time where people carried your things for you. And we want to carry your stress for you so that you just
Yeah.
have this incredible experience and get to soak it all in without having to worry about any of the logistics. Let us take care of that.
It must make you so
Oh,
happy to make everybody happy. It must be so rewarding.
It really
That
is. I
seems like
love it
something that you would,
so much. I
yeah.
love it. I really do. I mean, it is more challenging than I ever expected it would be. I mean, there are so many details and confirmation numbers and times and
Mhm.
dollar amounts and logistics. And it's a lot, which is why now that I know what I do, I would never, ever travel without a travel agent again because there's so much that's going on behind the scenes that
Mhm.
I am taking care of that I don't want my clients to have to worry about.
And you just, and
Yeah.
again, just all the information that you possess to help couples. Like the Morocco renting a car thing. I would have no idea about that, you know. So I just feel like
Yeah.
you are, even though I want to say you are priceless but people aren't paying for you. So I think that it's a good word, but it doesn't reflect well, um, for the experience that you provide.
Mm.
I'm
I
glad
love
that's
that.
your takeaway.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And I need to text you when we get off the call because I'm planning a trip the end of this month and I need help.
Oh, where are you going, Misty?
I'm going to Thailand and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm freaking out a little bit. But I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was researching hotels. Anyway, this isn't about me. So I'll text you later, and we'll talk. But I'm so excited that we got to interview today. Super excited about your company and how you've grown in this business, from being a wedding officiant for so many years and being so talented at that alone, but then to take a new business, grow it as big as you have, and seeing you travel the world, like I am so jelly at all the things you get to do because I want to do that. Like I want to sell my Coolidge compound and travel through retirement. Like that's my dream, and you will be my best friend when that time comes, no doubt. So just this is amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you for inviting me on. This was great. I've had so much fun. I love talking about travel and I love talking about what we do. So,
I love
Awesome.
seeing the pictures that you post with, holding your martini with bare feet on the cruise.
I will
I love
say, I have to make it look good and
you
enticing,
do.
and I want people to, but I am working. So I just feel like very blessed that I chose a job that requires me to travel, but I am definitely
Oh,
working.
for
Like I was,
sure.
this cruise I was just on, we had 2 days of workshops and we're there as a guest of the cruise line. And, we're participating in these activities and taking notes and all of that. But of course, I have to post and make it look,
Extra
as
special.
carefree and extra special, but
Yeah,
not as carefree as it looks like behind the scenes. But yes,
Yeah.
it's
I love that.
it's such a wonderful job. I love it so much, and I'm very, very blessed.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, I can't
Well,
wait to.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
I think,
ladies.
yeah, of course. I think we're all set for today. But thank you so much for Maria for being with us.
Yeah.
You are Maria Northcott of Steward and Porter Travel. Everyone should just call you to book all the things. And who are you, Kim?
I'm Kim Chapman from, oh, I said that wrong. Kim Chapman Dion from Kim Chapman Photography.
Awesome. And closing this out, this is Misty Coolidge from Coolidge Family Farm, Coolidge Travel, and Maine Mixologist. Hope everybody's having an awesome sunny day now that the sun is here. Go and enjoy it. And thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.